Good morning, everybody, and welcome to RPG Horror Stories. We just finished a karaoke stream at the time of recording, and I had a lot of fun. As much as it was cringe, and I also figured out a new trick in the process by which I can actually record on a separate channel, and Twitch just kicks that channel out of the recording. So, nice. We'll actually have some music for upcoming streams. Now, we do have a fairly interesting story, and as always, if you enjoy the video, make sure that you like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, and hey, give me your RPG horror stories. Leave them in the comments or in the Discord, and there's a chance that I'll read yours. Was I that guy in Storm King's Thunder? Too long didn't read, Game Master versus PC's mentality, and I rage quit, which imploded the entire game. Well, it's not looking too good for you. This was right after the pandemic lockdown, so our longtime group decided to move the game online. One of the players volunteered to run Storm King's Thunder over Roll20. He hadn't game mastered since 3rd edition, and then it was fairly nonsensical dungeon crawl. Open a door, kill the monster, rinse and repeat for months. It was boring. We were playing 5th edition. It was me, a trans woman, another woman from our usual group, and 2 new guys that the Game Master knew from work or something. Game 1, we get mobbed by goblins in the first town, and there's a warg that one-shots the trans woman's monk. It gets so bad that he, Deus Machina's a group, showing and saving us, apparently built-in failsafe. So, I've never run Storm King's Thunder. I've skimmed through it a little bit. I was originally after a simple skim through against the DM here. I still am. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of inexperience and laziness being played into here. But I did the math on this warg encounter in that first village. And by the way, I didn't really see anything about that Deus Ex Machina that's built in for that encounter. There's like 2 others that are present. But as far as this one, that encounter is super deadly. Even for a fucking level 5 party, so... If he started the party at level 1, which I bet he did... Actually, no, I know that he did. Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't all fucking die. Game 2, the fort we are in is overrun by orcs, and once again we are given a Deus Ex Machina. This time, by elves apparently built-in failsafe. That's a lie. One of his friends is playing a barbarian that got flat-backed with the monk again. This means he has flat-backed her twice. I'm playing a half-orc, eventual battle master, when the first 2 games tried to talk to the goblins and orcs, but was only met with violence. Game 3 leads to a cave with an ogre. Turn 1, he one-shots the monk again, and beats the barbarian again. Now, I'm not trying to be friendly to the orcs and goblins. After we clear the cave, he says you could have made a deal with them. Seriously, after you didn't even attempt to talk in the first 2 games? So now we are level... What the fuck? Wait, they're supposed to get to level 4 in... Chapter 1. Isn't this cave in fucking Chapter 2? One second. I gotta check this. I have to see. This does not sound right. Okay, so I did a little bit more skimming, and I found this quote-unquote part with the built-in elf failsafe. I did not find the failsafe for the other place. And this isn't even an actual fortress. This is a small fucking village out in the middle of the already fortress, and they're at war with a small tribe of neighboring orcs, and there's supposed to be about 20 orcs. My apologies, my mic actually cut out while I was recording some of this part. I held it a little bit too far away so that it did not capture, but I was kind of talking about how this is a very, very deadly encounter, and if I was DMing it personally, I wouldn't like run all of them at once, like a lot of people would, or like the module almost seems to suggest you should. What I would personally have done is given like half of those over to the village, and then had the orcs come in like sets of 2 in like an endurance style battle, so that after 10 orcs die, they run away as they should. But it's a very, very deadly module in the first place, which is part of why I've never fucking run it. It takes a lot of skill and preparation to get this to work, and you have to modify this thing very hard to not outright TPK some parties. It's a very, very hard thing to DM. I'm surprised that this person even tried to do it. As per the ogre, it is simply that he is there to protect the goblin boss. Hark. They don't want violence. They're reasonable people. They would be fine with anything that would be profitable to them, that would avoid bloodshed. They're actually written to be, you know, more opportunistic hunters, not vicious, ruthless killers. There's a lot of depth to these characters that we're not seeing from the point of view of this player. I think that this is a actual issue of, this looks like it's too easy, or, well, I'm lazy, let's just fucking throw this encounter at them. It definitely is reeking of the 3rd edition style of writing, like old school Ravenloft, this type of stuff. It's not the best, it's not the worst, but you gotta put some effort in if you're being a DM, at the very minimum. Once again, I'm just skimming through this as I'm reading through the story, so there's probably a ton that I've missed. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll accept that. I'll take the L on the chin. So now we are level 4. He has scared the barbarian so much that his ability score increase was spent on Dex to switch to archery. The monk is asking me outside of the game if she's being targeted. Sounds like it to me. Unfortunate. At this point, I started talking to the Game Master about how the players were feeling and how to fix some of these problems, plus the possible burying of the game. Game 4, we go to another town that is scripted to be overrun, and we are to flee. But as players, we stay to hold the line and defend all the new characters with names and personalities and whatnot. We eventually flee, and now I can't get the barbarian to even engage in melee, because it's fucking scared of death. Once again, the players and then the Game Master and I have a talk, and it becomes clear to me that he has a Game Master versus player mentality, and merely killing us and taking PCs out of the fight is fun for him. Game 5. We go to another town and get invited to a festival. So we head to the street party and vendors. It is attacked by hill giants and we win. This time we win so profoundly that he has one of the giants run away. The Game Master's other friend is playing a ranger, and I see this as his time to shine and do ranger things. Track it down and kill him. We have horses and a properly stated ranger. This should be fun. The Game Master has us chase this guy for 2 days. And with all the exhaustion, we lose the trail. So we camp for the night, and the next morning, he has a knight come riding up. And we're like, we're chasing a hill giant, would you like to join us? He casually says, oh yeah, I killed him last night down the road. So this is the attack on Goldenfield. Now, mind you, I have not run this adventure yet. I am skimming this. But here is what is supposed to happen. Let me roll up for you. 6 hill giants, including Lob and Og. These are the 2 that they most likely, like the party, most likely interacted with. 12 ogres, 6 of them fitted with goblin huckers. 12 bugbears, 60 goblins, split into 2 groups of 30. but from what I can tell, what actually happens is only Lob and Og make it into the fight, and they're not supposed to die! Look, we can go down to the development. Monsters inside the compound are smart enough to realize that they can't survive in Golden Fields for long after an alarm has sounded. Those that escape rejoin their comrades outside the wall. Lob and Og are the exceptions, more afraid of G than of the Golden Fields defenders. They hate the thought of returning to their chief without a mountain of food. But neither giant wants to die, and each surrenders if reduced to 15 HP or lower, falling to the ground and sobbing like big babies. If questioned, they blubber incoherently. In a successful DC 15 intimidation check, rise the following information out of a defeated but conscious hill giant. Guh want food. Me get food for Guh. Guh big, real big, bigger than me. Groundhog, home. And then they'll lead them home if they successfully intimidate them. They're, like, literally not able to find their way back as well. And nothing that I'm able to see here mentions facts of exhaustions or a chase. So this is outright ignoring plot. At this point, we have a 15-minute break, and I don't come back. I was so mad and frustrated. I could not have handled it better. Later, from the women, I found out that they did another encounter in a graveyard with a super dangerous tombstone elemental thing and entered a crypt. There was no Game 6. The game crumbled after I left. It was not my intention to kill the game, just to quit. It's rare that I spot things that are obviously wrong in a module I have never run that a DM has decided to use. And when that happens, you know stuff is absolutely garbage. It's not necessarily that they're garbage, just inexperience. You've gotta, you know, inexperience as a DM can be fucking deadly for a party. And for that matter, for a fucking friend group. So inexperience as a DM needs to be it needs to be backed up with passion and effort. And when you don't do that, people die, players stop playing their characters, and you lose friends. This isn't necessarily a horror story in the sense that OP took a break to try and see if they could gather their wits, and it ended up imploding the party. This is a horror story in that this dungeon master hasn't been a dungeon master in 5th edition basically ever. The last time they played was like fucking 20 years ago as a dungeon master. And they didn't put any of the fucking effort into all the prep. There's certainly some passion there, but it is said that during a talk they do have that game master versus the player mentality. And that is a logical fallacy when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. You have to remember, no matter what, even if you're running a TPK module, Dungeons and Dragons is the art of cooperatively telling a story between the game master and the player. It's not always the same story because the players have different people and characters, and the DM's always going to change things just a tiny bit, maybe rock the boat a different direction. But no matter what, Dungeons and Dragons, when you play it together, it is not you versus the DM. It is not the DM versus the players. It is an art form of telling a story cooperatively. And when you bastardize that in this manner, with the attitude of wanting to kill people, bad shit, whether you're a good DM or a bad DM, will always happen. That's all we have for today. Much love, stay sexy, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye!